Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, powered by, partnered by, and brought to you by L'Ecole for the entire year. Here with Benji Naesen, my co-host for a rainy day in Switzerland. Stage 3 of the Tour of Romandie from Estavayer to Estavayer, 169 kilometers long, of up and down pretty much all day. They do 3 laps of a nasty little course with 2 climbs put together. Charles and Lagrange. 2Ks at 6%, descent straight into 2.5Ks at 8%. They do 3 iterations of that. There's 30 kilometers between the climbs, and then on the last climb, they have a descent for 9Ks into the finish in Estavayer. It looks very similar to stage 1 and kind of not as hard as the stage 2 yesterday, where Colbrelli, Bevan, and Sagan battled it out. Sagan got dropped yesterday, but Bevan didn't start today, and it was raining all day and raining hard. Ineos leading GC, I think 1, 2, 3, with Dennis, Thomas, and Port. They'd be on patrolling duties, but yeah, pretty Swiss-looking break went today, Benji.
Certainly, we had a breakaway with Swiss riders indeed, and those were Johan Jacobs, Stefan Küng, the Swiss champion. We also had Bissiker in there as well, the prologue apprentice for now, let's say. Wouldn't call him king yet. Quarterman in there as well. We also have Sander Armé, Cor Vos, and Reutemann. And from that breakaway, we fought beforehand. Küng's probably the best engine in that group. Jacobs as well, a pretty good engine together with Bissiger. Jacobs is the rider that is on Movistar that had a decent breakaway adventure in one of the opening weekend stage, if I recall correctly, of the cobbles. But anyway, Cor Vos probably one of the better climbers in this group, although Armé has shown himself to be a decent one as well, winning a Vuelta stage, if my memory serves me right, in a few years back, I guess. Anyway, this breakaway ventured into a pretty rainy situation, as today's stage was horrific when it comes to the rainy conditions, and we saw all the rain jackets going on. We knew from that point we weren't going to recognize 90% of the events that were going to happen on this stage because, well, we can't recognize the riders too well if they've got like 70 rain jackets on and glasses, and it was messy, and the quality of the camera goes very wet, and you know what I mean. Anyway, during the stage, Ineos was pacing for a tiny bit, and then they were like, okay, Bora, you can do the work now. So Bora decided, I guess I'll do the work now because we've got Sagan and we can actually win this stage if it comes down to a sprint. So Bora went to the front of the peloton. Were there any other teams that ended up helping out?
Bahrain, if you didn't mention them already. ISU would have helped, but Bevan didn't start, as I said. And UAE didn't help either, even though they got Ulissi and Hirschi. So they didn't help. And I think that played into Bora being extra cooked as they got to the last circuit of these 2 climbs. I remember at the base of the second to last one, their domestique pulled off and was done, and Keldman's just there. Sagan's got no one else. So I think the gap started going out again, Benji. They'd get it to 20 seconds. That Bora guy pulled off. We got like 20 Ks to go, or about that. And then the gap started going out again because Ineos don't care about the break. Like Küng is going to lose big time tomorrow, presuming that they go ahead with that stage, and they're not going to burn their guys if they don't have to. So they don't have if they have Ben Swift here, maybe it's a bit different, but they don't have Ben Swift here, so they don't care at all. And it started to spice up, Benji. We thought it was going to be really boring and a rerun of stage 1 where it was going to be a reduced bunch sprint with about 3 sprinters, but kind of all chaos started to break out.
We had on the second last descent, first of all, a crash in the breakaway with Stefan Küng having a mediocre to a bad corner line, and that ended up onto the white section on the road, like the white lines on the road. It's easy to slid out if that's a wet situation, and it was a very wet descent, and that helped him out hitting the ground. And it was a pretty rough crash, not the initial crash, but after sliding off for a tiny bit, he ended up hitting, I think, some kind of thing at the side of the road. I don't know what it was, but it was something because we couldn't see it too well because of the rainy conditions either. But luckily, while the crash initially looked a pretty bad one, he did stand up pretty swiftly and got on his bike and continued onwards. But his breakaway adventure was gone. And not even a few minutes later, we had Cor Vos alone at the front of the race, and he was the sole breakaway rider left with 38 seconds, I think, going into the final climb. Peloton indeed was not really looking at an intense pace by Ineos there because they didn't care too much if Cor Vos ends up winning this stage. But then actually, we started seeing action at that group because, well, turns out Dennis crashed as well in the descent beforehand because Dennis wasn't looking too bright either when it comes to him being, I think, a minute behind at a certain point. And we saw that on his right hip, we saw some damage. And yeah, that's one of the three Ineos riders in the front rides of GC just totally gone. And we still have Thomas and Port in that group. I was wondering because we weren't sure yet whether we also had a crash of Thomas and Port because you'd expect in the descent that Dennis would be the first of the three going into that descent and that he would end up crashing the other two. And we know that Port has a bad history of being in an unlucky situation, crashing in descents. But I guess this is stage 3, 4 and not stage 9. So we ended up staying upright and apparently finished, won't say it yet. Won't spoil it. But we also had some action in the peloton afterwards. We had some people attacking in that group. Who was it? Was it the rainy usuals?
Well, yeah, first of all, it was Izagirre, and then Woods attacking, I think because he saw Dennis was dropped or had dropping, and we didn't see where Dennis crashed. I presume it was on the second to last descent going into the last climb, Lagrange, where Kung crashed. And I thought, the gap's gone back out to 40 seconds to Cor Vos because Ineos are taking it really slow, really steady, which I presume they were, and then they'll maybe try and catch him later. But maybe Benji, and we haven't heard or we couldn't see, maybe Izagirre forced on the descent and forced Ineos to kind of chase. That would be true to form and would have been a good move from the Basque rider. So we don't really know. But Dennis crashing, kind of important. If you saw in yesterday's stage, he was really important, keeping it all together at the end, and no one really could do anything in the last 7 kilometers when he was on the front. But yeah, as Benji said, attacks on the last climb now with Port and Thomas now kind of exposed. The break is about to be caught. I think in a couple of Ks, he only had a 10-second lead or so at this point, Cor Vos. And yeah, Izagirre was brought back. Caught Kung, poor guy, I feel so sorry for him. Koos, allegedly attacked at this point, and then it was Masnada, Woods, and Izagirre going again. So all these attacks are going, and they're going to be closed by Ineos, by Port and Thomas, I think themselves, still in that group. And perfect stage, one would think, for Astana, but it was Marc Soler on an absolute heat check, choosing the exact right moment just before the descent started. Just the last little rise of this Lagrange climb, which is 5% in the last 500 meters. And then you've got a descent where Ineos aren't going to want to take it up. He attacks. Remember, all the other stage hunting candidates, Izagirre, Masnada, Woods, they've already had a go. So it was great timing from Soler. I think it says Jon Izagirre going after him, but with a jacket on. I mean, we're just going to have to take the live stats word for it. But I thought Soler was gone, Benji, straight away.
I think so as well. That was my opinion, first of all, because, we see in the situation that 90% of that elite group is trying to finish a stage unharmed. And for the rest, they're fine with losing 10 seconds to someone else as long as they finish a stage unharmed, because this was extreme conditions when it comes to the rain. This is the same situation as you have in stage 1 of the Tour where Tony Martin starts T-posing. So if Tony Martin was here, he'd be T-posing the entire descent. So honestly, it's a dangerous situation, and a lot of riders are going to be like, we've got more important races coming, and we're not going to risk this one descent of Romandie to try and hang on to a rider that is going utterly insane in descent. And Soler wasn't going at a crazy pace, like going straight up into corners, but he was taking more risks than others. And if you take more risks than others in this kind of descent, you're going to gain time. And he did that fruitfully in the descent because he ended up with a significant gap on Izagirre, who went for the counterattack a bit too late. And we also had the peloton that just didn't look like they were pacing too much, but did have some riders with teammates that could potentially win this stage. We'll go into that, I think, after we discuss who ends up winning the stage. But I don't think there's too much more to add towards its final, except for Soler kept riding, Izagirre kept riding, and eventually Izagirre still got caught by the elite group, but Soler was on the clear. He was nowhere to be caught because, well, quite simply, they weren't pacing too much in that second group. And Soler takes his first victory of the season. Yeah, Soler takes his first victory of the season, Marc Soler. He also won a descent victory in the Vuelta last year. So somehow it seems like attacking in descents is becoming a bit of a specialty for this lad. It wasn't in a rainy condition, I think, last time, but I'm not sure about it. But it was now. So congratulations to Movistar. They won with a perfectly timed attack. Nice decision making. Doesn't happen often, we can say that, but very happy about it.
I thought it was a fantastic move. That was stage 2 of the Vuelta last year, where Movistar, I think, went to the front just before the descent to Lerkenberry, and Soler hit it. Magic move. I thought it was what they were going to do in Catalunya, Benji, on stage 1 when they paced and dropped Sagan to Calella, and they didn't attack on the descent. That was really surprising. They had Soler there as well. But just on his own today, I think Soler kind of doing his own thing is better for Movistar. I think he sometimes, like, working in a coordinated plan with other riders, not so great, but on his own, he's really talented and really good. And when he crossed the line, he gave a shush. I don't know who to, maybe me, for calling him the World Tour's J.R. Smith in the video the other day, which, is it a compliment? Is it an insult? I don't know. You be the judge. J.R. Smith can get hot and put in 8 threes a night, and today the shots went in for Marc Soler. Shooter's going to shoot, and he's shushing the haters, which maybe it was to me. I don't know. Maybe it was Marca. I doubt he watches my English language videos, but who knows? Were you surprised, Benji, that no one helped Ineos? We got Sagan in Group 2 with Soler's Group 1. Sagan's in Group 2. Colbrelli's in Group 2. They've got Caruso and Kelderman there. Were you surprised they didn't help Ineos pacing? Because it was just the minute we saw Richie Porte with 6Ks to go pacing in the rain, I was like, well, that group's fucked. Like, they're not bringing back Soler. Like, if that's who you got pacing in a technical, just sort of downhill in the rain for Thomas. But yeah, was that surprising to you?
I think that when it comes to Bahrain, I was expecting it more than when it comes to Bora in the situation, because we knew already that Caruso has worked for Colbrelli this week. He did a lead out, I think, yesterday for Colbrelli in the final kilometer, which means that there's a hierarchy there where the top 10 for Caruso is not as important as a potential stage win for Colbrelli. So doing it here could very much have brought Colbrelli another potential victory. And when it comes to Sagan, well, he quite simply has Kelderman, who hasn't won a GC, I think, in 6 years, but I think that he can top 5 Romandie. I think that I would have made a decision to have Kelderman pace because it's like 20 seconds. But on the other hand, it's a very dangerous descent, and we know how vulnerable Kelderman is when it comes to crashing and bad luck, and it's not exactly something you want to test if you want to send him to I think, Tour de France this year on his aspect. So, I don't know, is the stage important enough to risk it in this weather to start that pace? I would have said yes, but riders probably would say no because, well, it's dangerous, I guess. I think when it comes to the final sprint, we also forgot to mention that Colbrelli seemed to be going straight for a second place here, and then his chain had some issues, and he pushed through his pedal, and he just disappeared from the front and was not second in the stage. I think Peter Sagan or Magnus Cort Nielsen actually passed Peter Sagan in the last section and ends up getting second. Sagan in third. Colbrelli ended up fourth in that race because of the chain issue. So a bit unfortunate for my dad, who had a top 3 bet on Colbrelli. So it's going to be a sad evening tonight.
Jeez, you got your dad into the degeneracy, mate. All right.
Sorry,
I should read out the results. Soler first, Magnus Cort second, winning the reduced bunch kick, just like he actually won the stage, Paris stage 8. Sagan third, Colbrelli fourth, Izagirre fifth, Ulissi sixth, Van Wilder seventh, Koos eighth, Izagirre ninth, Rui Costa 10th. Benji, bookmark it now for our Giro preview. We are going to be talking about Sagan going for the Ciclamino, but just briefly now, he is climbing very, very well at the moment. I think I didn't expect him, given the way the stage played out, to be making that group. And I know he's good in wet conditions, but you look who's in that group. It's all GC guys or punchers, and just basically him, Colbrelli, and Ulissi, who are climbing well too, and Cort. So that Slovenian stage in the Giro got his name on it. Do you think he's looking actually better in terms of climbing than, say, last year?
I think yes. I think the one Giro stage last year did have a special feeling to it. I'm not sure he's at that level. I really can't tell at the moment. But I think he's better than a few of the other stages surrounding that last year. I think what I would have loved to see this year, and we're not going to see it, I think, is a 2013 like Sagan on the Montalcino stage of the Giro. That would have been lovely, because I bet on that stage he'd still make an appearance and still be one of the best riders back in the day. But I think that it's unrealistic to expect that this year. I think that Sagan is climbing better consistently now at the moment, and I don't think he's at his peak condition yet. And I think he's still coming back, which means that he should be on a decent level for the Giro. And when it comes to his competition there, we're going to go into that in our Giro pod. But he's one of the favorites for Ciclamino, that's for sure.
Tomorrow's stage in Tour de Romandie, this is the big GC stage. It's been brought forward a couple of hours, so tell your boss, hey, Tour de Romandie, it's been absolutely banging cycling all week. Oh no, it's on Saturday. Okay, well, yeah,
some people work on Saturday, I guess.
Okay, even if you work on Saturday, tell your boss, nah. Got Tour de Romandie finishing at 3 p.m. They brought it early or forward 2 hours because they're finishing on top of a ski resort in
No, they did it for you.
Yeah, for me. So it finishes at 11:30 p.m. Lovely, yeah. So if all goes to plan, the weather's not bad, which it will be. There's supposed to be a 161-kilometre stage with, this is so nasty, 2 kilometre 7% climb in the first 6Ks where the break will form, one would think. Then they've got a Cat 1, 14.5Ks, 7%. Descent, Cat 3, 3.5Ks, 8%. And then about a 40K valley, then 13K, 6.7% descent, and then the climb to Thion, 2000, 20.7Ks at 7.6% mountaintop finish. Let me have a look at this profile properly. We've got some steep sections in the last, starting in the last 5Ks, 10%, 9%, 10%, 9%, and then the last few Ks still pretty steep. So it's steady, but there's some steep sections there. And prediction time, Benji. I don't think the break is winning, and I haven't thought yet, so I've got to put you on the spot, and I'll look at the start list while you answer.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that we're going to see a non-Ineos rider win. We're going to see Lucas Hamilton from Bike Exchange come out on top here.
Ooh.
And I'm saying that because he was doing decent at Paris-Nice. He's got the ambitions of coming in the top 5 of the Giro. That's what he said. And I believe that it's going to be hard to do so, but if he keeps climbing better than Paris-Nice, and if he has a good stage tomorrow, then I do see a possibility of his climbing being good enough to be in a decent condition at the Giro. And I believe that Ineos is going to control the entire last climb for a large part. I don't know what the condition of Dennis is going to be going into this stage. He didn't look amazing after that crash, but he also didn't look terrible. So I think that, let's be honest, my head says Geraint Thomas, but my heart says someone else from another team because I want to see something spectacular. And why not Lucas Hamilton, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, from a break, if I doubt, but Nielsen powerless, that they probably won't have lost enough time. You'd think Miguel Angel Lopez, Benji. If this was the Tour last year, me and you would be saying we'd be saying Lopez. But yeah, does he exist? Did he lose time today? Oh, Benji, we better not say this. Do I need to edit this out and so we can get our bets on? Because yeah, he might be a really good shout tomorrow. I mean, the results so far, I think he didn't come in Group 1. Miguel Angel Lopez,
2 minutes 50.
2 minutes 50, and then he's going to lose the buckets of time to, I'm going with Lopez, Benji. Not in the break.
Ooh.
GC group. It's going to be exactly like the Tour Col de Loz. GC group, and then because he's so far behind on GC, he'll attack with 4Ks to go. Ineos will do what they did with Chavez in stage 4 of Catalonia. Just let him have a minute, 45 seconds, and Lopez wins. If he's in any condition, it should play out like that, but his condition was shit. So
how about the legend himself, Chris Froome, who finished on 19 minutes and 1 second today?
Mate, this is Lacola pulls a sponsorship if we turn this into a trolling podcast. What about Vincenzo Nibali talking about wash guys? Oh, no, is he not here? I'm looking at Giro starters.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so Lopez is a good option. Honestly, I think the strongest guy is Dennis, but that's not how the team would use him. On this sort of climb, I think the strongest guy here is Dennis. Woods, if they do it slow, the climb, it's all together and Ineos kind of pacing. With Dennis, I think Woods attacking at the end, big chance to get a stage win as well. I'm trying to look for a real outsider. But Kenny Elissonde, Benji, from a break, surely he'd be getting Pernsteiner and Elissonde from the break would be nice as well. I'd love to see that. Is Hirschi good enough?
How about we just name half the peloton?
No, we have not.
Well,
is Hirschi?
I said 2 days ago, and you said he wasn't.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get you to double down on your pick.
Nah, I don't believe it anymore. You proved me. You've proven me that it's not going to happen.
Sepp Kuss, I mean, this is a big opportunity for him to attack and have an opportunity to be aggressive. I think, yeah, if he plays his cards right as well and attacks not too early, not too late, same sort of theory as with Lopez, one would think he has a chance as well. But it's a stage I'll be looking forward to see what will happen in the GC, and hope you join us. Well, not you can't watch it with us, but join us afterwards and listen to what happened. Anyway, that was the Tour de Romandie recap. When do we have our Q&A, Benji? We have it. When does Romandie finish?
After the Romandie, before the Giro.
Okay.
Is that too abroad? By the way, if you want to send in questions for that, you can do so on the YouTube video of this podcast as well, or in the ones in the coming days. I'll make sure I try and put them all together for our list that we're going to run through, I guess.
So we'll probably do that on Monday or Tuesday. So get those in quickly, and then the Giro preview is supposed to be on Wednesday. So never stops. And then Giro starts next Saturday. Whew. Crazy times. All right, that was the Tour de Romandie recap, and we'll see you with the big GC stage tomorrow. Ciao.